Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headline, 16 Dominicans receive Cuban scholarships in the 40-year-old program. OECS to promote greater independence of the judiciary by setting up a trust fund for the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, and the UWI to open its 4th landed campus in Antigua in September. The details coming up.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow. First up in the news, a record number of Dominican students receive scholarships to Cuba as the program enters its 40th year. Andrea Louis reports.
The Cuba Scholarship Program started in 1979 with students leaving the country to pursue medical studies. Over the years, the program has expanded to include other careers such as engineering. On average, 10 Dominicans receive scholarships each year to further their studies. However, this year, 16 young people received documents to pursue higher education. 10 will study medicine, 1 will pursue nursing, 3 will do engineering, and 2 will pursue postgraduate medical studies. Cuba's ambassador to Dominica, His Excellency Ulysses Ignacio Aranz Fernando, says the graduates from the original cohort are contributing to Dominica's development and urged the newest students to return home to do the same.
Diplomatic relations between Cuba and Dominica were formalized on May 18, 1996. But long before that date, there already existed an important cooperative relationship between Cuba and this sister nation. Since the first group of students of Dominica arrived in Cuba in 1979. They were young at that time and today contribute with their knowledge and aptitude to the development of Dominica. Since then, more than 370 young of Dominica have graduated from Cuba, most of them in university careers in the fields of health, sport, and engineering, and around 16 are currently studying in Cuba.
The Ministry of Education is pleased with the variety of scholarships being offered, especially in the post-Maria era.
We appreciate the fact that now we can not only send persons to train in medical sciences, but there is the opportunity for higher education. Especially now in our post-Hurricane Maria, we recognize the skills that is needed to bring Dominica, as we say, as we build back better, as we are in a climate of resilience, and we seek to build Dominica as one of the climate resilient countries of the world. You too, those of you who are going to do other areas of higher education, you too have a role to play in that journey too as well.
The Caribbean Chamber of Commerce is set to increase its membership by the end of this week. Here again is Andrea Louis with more.
This as the Dominican Republic will sign on as a member, bringing the Chamber's membership up to 18. Chair of the Caribbean Chamber of Commerce, Lizra Fabian, who is also Executive Director of the Dominica Association of Industry and Commerce, DAIC, says the signing ceremony will take place in the Dominican Republic later this week as part of a wider information sharing and networking event.
They will be having the Africa, Caribbean, Pacific, ACP countries speaking on like networking, but best practices, knowledge sharing across the ACP countries, and also what's happening with CARIForum and how that impacts the private sector. They're also looking at two specific areas, I think the cocoa area for Dominican Republic and one other area, but an exciting thing for CARICHAM, Dominican Republic is joining and they'll be signing. And in Dominican Republic, there's a chamber of chambers. So all the chambers fall under what we call federal cameras, and they'll be signing on Thursday, joining CARICHAM. So that's exciting for our region, because being able to trade with Dominican Republic and even have these exchanges would be extremely valuable.
Dominica is set to benefit from the two-day seminar through the information shared by other countries, which will be applied to the local context.
The areas they're looking at, CARIForum, so CARIForum, which includes, I think, Dominican Republic and the others, they're in charge of funds that are received from EU to support private sector development. And then there are different things that happen in the Pacific countries, also in Africa, and the knowledge sharing, like whatever best practice working for them, and ways that we can advance in the Caribbean. That is one of the ways for sure that we can benefit from it, because we'll be learning from the experiences. So certain mistakes we'll not have to make them again, but also the different technical facilities and funding that they have for private sector. We'll be able to understand what's available to know how we can tap into that.
Fabian leaves Ireland for the Africa, Caribbean, Pacific ACP Private Sector Development Information Knowledge Sharing and Networking event on Tuesday. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
In other news now, Prime Minister Skerrit believes that the regional private sector needs to join forces to help keep LIAT in the air. Mr. Skerrit spoke at a press conference last week marking the end of the 67th meeting of the OACS Authority held in Antigua.
Jamaica wasn't the beneficiary of LIAT flying in the air, but they participated. They were shareholders because the Prime Minister at the time, the progressive Prime Minister at the time, recognized that it was good for regional integration. And therefore they felt that they had a wider obligation beyond just their own narrow benefit or non-benefit of LIAT, and they participated. And you tell me that we're benefiting and we don't want to participate? How does one explain that to our children? And how do we explain to our school children and to our young people? What kind of attitudes we are passing on to them if we are so indifferent to that which benefits all of us?
The Prime Minister believes it's time the region elevates the discussion and to take a more practical look at things. Mr. Skerrit says there is too much pessimism in the region. He says the focus should be on the issues confronting the region and how to work together to address them.
On the issue of LIAT and so on, I am a bit disappointed in the way that this thing is discussed when it is up for discussion. And I think we have to look beyond just trying to hear ourselves. Rather than looking at the issue and how can we work together towards resolving the issue.
Mr. Skerrit said Dominica remained committed to supporting and possibly increasing its stake in LIAT. OACS heads of government have agreed to establish a trust fund for the smooth operations of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. The OACS heads agreed at their 67th authority meeting in Antigua that financial support ought to be provided for the regional court in a manner similar to the support provided for the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ. Chief Justice of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, Dame Janice Pereira, has made several appeals in that regard over the last few years.
So we've asked for a simplified approach to this in terms of reporting back to us, to look at what are the needs of the Supreme Court and what would be the financing required to finance the court, certainly in the medium to long term. Because we have given a firm commitment to the courts to ensure that it has the resources at its disposal to dispense of justice within our Supreme Court jurisdiction.
We have committed to assist the court in strengthening its capacity, especially insofar as IT is concerned, to digitize their records and to assist with the recording of judgments on a timely basis. And even the issue of remuneration was looked at, and consideration has been given to a request to increase their remuneration.
You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
maladie HIV et bien maladie sexuelle. Si ou pas protéger corps là ou can sexe avec plusieurs monde, ça ka mette la vie ou en gros danger. Ou ka exposer tout partenaire au poison et que ça qui ka venir avec maladie. Servez yon condom chaque fois ou can sexe. Changer qui est important pour découvrir maladie à bonheur ou ça vivre en bonne santé même si ou ni maladie HIV. Pour responsabilité, protéger corps et puis les autres. Examiner corps. Aider du bout si même maladie HIV et l'autre maladie sexuelle.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow. Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown says the OECS sub-region has been underserved in terms of its citizens having access to the University of the West Indies. The University of the West Indies is establishing its fourth landed campus in Antigua. The current campuses of the UE are Mona, Jamaica, Keyville, Barbados, and St. Augustine, Trinidad. Mr. Brown spoke about what's believed to be a landmark development for the OECS at a press conference last week, marking the end of the 67th meeting of the OECS Assembly in Antigua. Brown says UWE's Antigua campus will be an OECS campus.
We recognize, though, that on the basis that it is domiciled in Antigua, that we have to carry the lion's share of the expenses, providing the, the physical campus facilities and so on, and we are committed to do so. As you know, we have this new facility at Five Islands at a cost of $25 million US, and we're about to program another tranche from the Chinese to construct additional facilities totaling another $20 million US. Plus, we've been upgrading the other sub-campuses. So for us in Antigua, we know that we have to be the anchor and to spend the necessary monies in order to ensure that we have a successful campus. We also introduced a tax measure, as you know, to make sure that there's reliability in the funding of the campus. And as I indicated during the opening of the session of the Assembly, well, not the Assembly, of the Authority, we also will be proposing that perhaps the countries within the sub-region that have citizenship by investment programs, that maybe they could add a flat fee of $5,000 US, maybe $10,000 US per application to help to raise funding to support the other countries within the sub-region who would like to at least cover the economic costs for the students.
Brown says he wants to ensure that Antigua's campus does not replicate the bureaucracy that exists in the other campus territories.
We want to make sure that the fees are truly affordable in order to increase the accessibility to a university degree, recognizing that we have been left behind for decades. And there's empirical evidence to confirm that the OECS region has been an underserved region. We have one of the lowest levels of enrollment and graduates within this hemisphere. So we have to correct that. And the very CARICOM Treaty does call for special and differential treatment, for special consideration be given to the LDCs. And clearly this is one area in which we have asked for special carve-out in order to satisfy the human resource development requirements of the people of the OECS sub-region.
The Antigua campus of the UII will open in September with 1,000 students. And Miss Dominica 2019 Marisol John has successfully hosted her first large-scale activity for the youth. Over the weekend, John organized a cardio jam titled Rhythms of Royalty in an effort to promote physical activity among young people. John also recently launched a project called Royal, which stands for Rise, Overcome, Yield, Aspire, and Lead.
As an educator, I see so many struggles that our youth go through. And I feel that I have the duty to actually do something about it, because I know what it is to be a young person. I am a young person, and I know how easy it is for our young people to fall into the traps of the world. And as a young person, I feel that they will look up to me. They will see something in me that can inspire them to do things. in their community to do great things throughout Dominica. I would like to see a new approach to things that our youth take. Oftentimes they rely on adults to do things for them. I would like to see them take up the initiative to do things for themselves, to be more optimistic and to be more hopeful for the future. Because a lot of our young people, they have lost hope, and I can understand why. And I would like to see the change in their view on life, on society, on everything, and to become more optimistic.
John promises this summer will be an active one for youth under her Royal project.
This summer is actually going to be a very interesting one for Royal. Our young people are innovative and they have ideas that they want to see pushed forward in Dominica, but they are afraid, and I would like to help them to overcome their fears of failure. So one of the activities that we do have planned is a hike, again to encourage physical activity and awareness of nature. And we also have events such as city walkthroughs, talks, and social media campaigns going on throughout the summer season, as well as the entrance of the new school year.
And Jamaica's 5th Prime Minister Edward Seaga was laid to rest on Sunday. The late Prime Minister died on the 28th of May on his 89th birthday. He died in Florida, where he had been receiving treatment for cancer.
The cathedral was full, while hundreds gathered outside on the tents for the near 3-hour service. Others who were not able to secure a space on the tents resorted to using umbrellas to shelter from the scorching sun. The life of the former Prime Minister was colorfully remembered by dignitaries from Jamaica and across the Caribbean, who descended on the venue, giving glowing tributes to the man who was Prime Minister of Jamaica from 1980 to 1989 and led the Jamaica Labour Party from 1974 until 2005. All said that Seaga was misunderstood by his outward persona. As they shared the softer side of the man, they got to know outside of the political spotlight. He was lauded by his longtime political rival P.J. Patterson as a titanic warrior whose patriotism and legacy to national building set him aside as an independence-era legend.
We belonged to opposing parties, which we led in several electoral contests. Our views did not always coincide on a vast range of national issues and external policies. But that consideration and that habit of division will not prevent me from paying my humble tribute to a titanic warrior.
Just before Patterson, Prime Minister of Grenada, Dr. Keith Mitchell, paid tribute to Seaga, whose relationship with Grenada had been built on controversy. Mitchell dared to mention Seaga's role in the 1983 upheaval in the Eastern Caribbean island, when it was invaded by the United States.
His entire life's work, friends, may have labeled him a Jamaican. But for the many of us elsewhere in the region, Eddie was a Caribbean man. But I stand here as a Grenadian who is grateful for the bold and decisive actions of the late Edward Seaga in 1983, when my country was reeling from the effects of a political crisis. In that historical period, Eddie demonstrated what it was to be your brother's keeper. And as I stand here today to bid farewell to this courageous brother, I also say a final thank you to my friend. Thank you for your courage you displayed in supporting the intervention, invasion, whatever you want to call it, of Grenada in 1983.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow. To end the news, a look again at the headline. 16 Dominicans receive Cuban scholarships in the 40th year of the program, or the program's 40th year. OECS to promote greater independence of the judiciary by setting up a trust fund for the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. And the UWI to open its 4th landed campus in Antigua in September. Feel free to contact us at news@mapin2k4.com. You may access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Do join us tomorrow.